Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who dared to venture beyond Freud's shadow, remains a figure both revered and reviled. His theories, ranging from the collective unconscious to synchronicity, have sparked debates that continue to divide scholars, mystics, and critics alike. Was he a visionary who unlocked the deepest recesses of the human psyche, or a man whose ideas teetered on the edge of pseudoscience and prejudice? This exploration delves into the heart of Jung's most controversial concepts, examining their impact and the storm of criticism they ignited. Jung's theory of the collective unconscious posits that beneath our personal unconscious lies a deeper layer shared by all humans, containing universal archetypes and symbols. He believed these inherited structures shape our experiences, dreams, and behaviors. Critics argue that this concept is unscientific and unverifiable, labeling it pseudoscientific and accusing Jung of excessive determinism. They contend that shared human experiences can be explained by common environments rather than an inherited psychic structure. Despite these criticisms, Jung's ideas have influenced various fields, including psychology and the arts. Jung introduced the concept of synchronicity to describe meaningful coincidences that cannot be explained by cause and effect. He argued that these events are causal and reflect a deeper connection between the individual and the universe. However, many in the scientific community dismiss synchronicity as pseudoscience, citing its lack of empirical support and reliance on subjective interpretation. Critics suggest that such coincidences can be attributed to cognitive biases and the human tendency to find patterns, known as apophenia. Jung's concept of archetypes refers to universal, primordial symbols residing in the collective unconscious. He believed these archetypes manifest in myths, dreams, and cultural narratives. While some view archetypes as insightful tools for understanding human behavior, others criticize them as reductionist and culturally biased. Feminist scholars, in particular, argue that Jung's archetypes reinforce gender stereotypes and fail to account for cultural diversity. Unlike Freud, who viewed religion as an illusion, Jung saw spirituality as integral to psychological health. He believed that religious symbols and myths are expressions of the unconscious mind and play a crucial role in personal development. Jung's approach to spirituality, however, has been criticized for lacking empirical grounding and for blending psychological concepts with mystical beliefs. Some argue that his integration of spirituality into psychology undermines the scientific rigor of the field. Jung's writings have been scrutinized for containing racist and culturally biased views. He often described non-European cultures as primitive and suggested that they were psychologically underdeveloped compared to Europeans. These views have been widely condemned as harmful and exclusionary. An open letter from Jungian analysts has acknowledged and apologized for the racism in his work, noting its impact on the field and those seeking training or therapy. Many of Jung's theories, including the collective unconscious and synchronicity, lack empirical support and are difficult to test scientifically. Critics argue that this makes his ideas more philosophical or spiritual than scientific. While Jung's work has influenced various disciplines, the scientific community remains divided on the validity of his concepts. Some scholars continue to explore his ideas, while others question their relevance in modern psychology. Carl Jung's contributions to psychology are both profound and controversial. His theories have provided valuable insights into the human psyche, yet they also raise questions about the boundaries between science and spirituality. As we continue to explore the depths of the unconscious mind, Jung's work serves as a reminder of the complexities and challenges inherent in understanding human nature. Jung's concept of the collective unconscious posits that beneath our personal experiences lies a shared layer of the unconscious mind, containing universal archetypes and symbols inherited from our ancestors. These archetypes, such as the hero, the shadow, and the animus, are said to manifest in dreams, myths, and cultural narratives. Critics argue that this theory is unscientific and unverifiable, labeling it as pseudoscientific. They contend that the collective unconscious lacks empirical support and is based on subjective interpretations rather than objective evidence. Unlike Freud, who viewed religion as an illusion, Jung believed that spirituality and myth were essential to psychological health and individuation. He integrated concepts like synchronicity, the idea of meaningful coincidences, and parapsychology into his analytical psychology. This blending of psychology with spirituality and mysticism has been met with skepticism and criticism from the scientific community, which often regards these ideas as pseudoscientific and lacking empirical validation. Jung's approach to dream analysis differed from Freud's emphasis on sexual symbolism. He viewed dreams as personal and symbolic, reflecting the individual's unconscious mind and its archetypal contents. While this perspective has influenced many, it has also faced criticism for being overly subjective and lacking a standardized framework for interpretation. Some argue that Jung's methods are too interpretive and not grounded in empirical research. Jung's personal exploration of his unconscious mind is documented in the Red Book, a manuscript filled with vivid illustrations and narratives of his inner experiences. Some view this work as a profound insight into the depths of the human psyche, while others question its validity and relevance. The book's release decades after Jung's death has sparked debates about its authenticity and its place in the understanding of his theories. Jung's writings have been criticized for containing racist descriptions and assumptions, particularly about non-European peoples. He often described primitive cultures as psychologically underdeveloped compared to Europeans. These views have been widely condemned and have led to calls for a re-evaluation of his work. An open letter from Jungian analysts has acknowledged and apologized for the racism in his work, noting its impact on the field and those seeking training or therapy. Jung's concept of synchronicity suggests that events are meaningful coincidences if they occur with no causal relationship, yet seem to be meaningfully related. This idea has been met with skepticism from the scientific community, which often regards it as pseudoscientific due to its lack of empirical support and testability. Critics argue that synchronicity relies on subjective interpretations and confirmation bias. Stoicism also teaches us to reframe failure. Society often views failure as something to be avoided at all costs. But the Stoics understood that failure is not a defeat, but a necessary part of growth. The great inventor Thomas Edison once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This mindset of seeing failure not as a dead end, but as valuable feedback is one of the most powerful shifts you can make. Every time you experience a setback, pause and ask yourself, what did I learn from this? What skills can I develop from this experience? How does this prepare me for future opportunities? This reframing allows you to see each failure, not as a personal indictment, but as a lesson that brings you one step closer to success. Failures become stepping stones, not obstacles, and with each one, you gain more wisdom, more clarity, and more resilience. This shift in perspective is essential if you want to stop fearing failure and start embracing it as an integral part of the journey toward mastery and success. Lastly, Stoicism teaches us the importance of mental goal setting and small, consistent actions. The Stoics were masters of discipline, and they understood that great achievements are not the result of giant, sporadic leaps, but of small, persistent actions taken consistently over time. If you have a big goal, whether it's changing careers, starting a business, or mastering a new skill, break it down into manageable steps. Instead of overwhelming yourself with the enormity of the task, focus on the next small action you can take. This is not about aiming for perfection, but about consistent, incremental progress. Think of it as creating micro goals, small, achievable tasks that build momentum and create a sense of accomplishment. For example, if you want to write a book, start with 1 paragraph a day. If you want to improve your fitness, start by walking for 10 minutes each day. These small actions, when done consistently, add up over time, and before you know it, you will have made significant progress. This method of focusing on small, manageable tasks removes the overwhelming pressure of big goals